Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be following up our video from last week and finishing up the build of our Predator Super Ghost for our drag bike. And I do have some of the parts laid out, so let me go ahead, grab some work clothes, and we're going to dive right back into this. Well, alright, so since we're going to try and pick up exactly where we left off, the last thing we did was install our head. So the next thing, I am going to skip some steps and install the clutch. We are going to put that on there and go ahead and line up our keyway, if I can get it to go in there. And we are going to take our bolt, and let me open that up, and add a little bit of, if there's any left in here, some blue Loctite. We're not going to smother the threads, but the next thing we are going to do is go ahead and give that a little ugga-dugga. So now that that's on there, the next thing we are going to do is install our flywheel. So let me grab my socket for that, and we'll install that. Alright, now that I got everything laid out that I need for this, we are going to take some more lapping compound and add it to our shaft here, because we are going to go ahead and lap the flywheel just enough to give it some grit to stop it from spinning or anything like that. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me speed this up real quick. Alright, now that I got that, we're going to go ahead and clean this up real quick, and we'll be right back and install our keyway. Okay, now that everything is all cleaned up, you can see I took away the shine on that, and I don't know if you can see down in there, but took the shine out of there just to give it a little bit more grab. But the next thing we are going to do is go ahead and install our keyway. So we'll go ahead and just tap that back in there. Alright, so now that I got that, we'll go ahead and install our flywheel. If I can get everything to line up, oh, that keyway might not be down far enough, so there we go. So, alright, beautiful. So now that that's all, we'll go ahead and install that and add our nut. And for now, I am just going to give this one good ugga-dugga, and later on we will come back and torque this and the clutch. This one is 65 foot-pounds. I have to look in to see how much the clutch is. But now that we got that, the next thing we are going to install is our intake. So let me grab my Allens for that, and we'll get to installing that. Alright, now that I got this all laid out, the next thing we're going to be installing is the intake, carburetor, and air filter. So let's go ahead and bolt those up, and let me add a little blue Loctite to these. But I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and then we'll be right back. Alright, now that we got that on there, the next thing I am going to be doing is setting the top plate. I do know that I am skipping steps with the valve train, but I got something super exciting for that I'm pretty excited about, so I'm kind of holding off for last on that stuff. But in the meantime, let me go ahead, speed this up, and get this plate on and this shield, which I always, no matter how many of these I've taken apart, always forget to put on before the flywheel. So let me go ahead and speed this up, and we'll be right back. Alright, now that I got those buttoned up, I'm going to figure out the next thing I'm going to put on this. So let me figure that out, and we'll be right back. Alright, just to knock it out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and throw the fuel pump on real quick. And then I'm going to figure out from there what we're going to do next. So I'll go ahead and put that there. And alright. Fuel pump's installed. Let me go ahead and figure out what in this box I am going to put on next. So let me grab some water while we're at it because it's 100 degrees in this shop, and we'll be right back. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is build our side cover. So we'll go ahead and snap our kill switch up in there. And we're going to go ahead and drop our ring in, which it does have spacers and stuff for it. And then we're going to go ahead, take our pull string, drop that in there, see if I can start this upside down. I might not be able to, but I kind of question this cover because I'm not really sure if it's going to hold up over time. At this point in time, only time will tell on that, but we'll definitely see in the long run. I might end up eventually kicking it off so I could do it like one of those handheld electric start motors, but I'm not totally sure yet. So let me go ahead and fast forward through this and put these in there, and we'll move on to the next thing. Next thing we're going to go ahead and throw on in here is the ground strap and the coil pack. And we're going to go straight off the block with that, and I think that looks like a good place to mount it. I just want to make sure I got enough strap there. Okay, so I got enough strap there. Go ahead and ugga-dugga this down real quick. Oop, wrong way. Alright, that's tight. Alright, next thing we're going to do is go ahead and put our coil pack on there. I'm going to go ahead and start these bolts before we go ahead and set our feeler gauges in there to get this thing set where we need it. So that's one bolt. Alright, next bolt we're going to go up in there. And now, move that wire up out the way. So we are going to be setting it at 40 thousandths. So we're going to go ahead and lift that up. Oop, if I can get it to go up. There we go. Slide these down in there. Kind of a pain in the butt, but might have to take that back loose. Alright. Oop, there we go. Oop, but I lost my feeler gauges. Alright, so let's go ahead and roll that down in there a little bit. Damn, that magnet's strong as shit. Alright, that ain't working out. So, let me go ahead and take that back off. Set my feeler gauges. And then add my, alright. This brings me back to another one of my struggling moments. There we go. I got both feeler gauges up in there. We're going to go ahead and tighten this sucker down now. Alright, push that down as hard as I can. Alright. And Make sure that one's pushed down in there. All right, we'll go ahead and roll that around and get our feeler gauges up out of there. Oop. All right, now that we got our feeler gauges on, we are finally got to the part where I have been procrastinating, and we're going to be setting up the valve train next. So let me grab my tools for that, and we'll get heading on to putting in the rockers. All right, got everything laid out for the rockers, which I got the roller rockers here from NR Racing and NR Racing chromoly push rods. And part of the reason why I was procrastinating on doing this part is because it's all about trial and error. I tried and had error, and my dumbass had ordered the stock length push rods that are uncuttable, so I did have to order the tool from I don't remember, OMB warehouse, I think I got this from, and some new NR Racing chromoly push rods that are the actual correct length. So if you're curious of why I was partially procrastinating on that, that is why. That was I think almost a $50 mistake, so it is what it is. It's all about the trial and error. I tried and had the error. So we're going to start off by we're going to go ahead and open up our assembly lube, if I can get it open. There we go. And just, we're going to do a little dab, and then we're going to slide them down in there, put that right in there. Next one we're going to do is do this one. All right, we got that, little assembly lube. All right, get that, feed that down in there and in the lifter. All right, now that we got those in the lifters, we are going to go ahead and take our rocker arms and stick that in there, and we got to make sure that it's actually seated in the rocker arm itself. Well, before we do that, I need to add a little assembly lube right there. Never hurts. I am very generous with the assembly lube. If you haven't noticed, I'd rather be a little extra lubricated than not lubricated enough. So, add a little bit here, a little bit there. All right. So go ahead and feed that up into the rocker itself. All right, if I can get it in there. I'm trying to do this so you guys can see. There we go. And we're going to add our pin. All right, loosen that up a little bit. Might have to loosen that up a little bit. All right, there we go. Now that we got that in there, we're going to put our keeper down in there. I hope you guys can see this okay, but we're going to feed our keeper down in there. Oop. Uh-oh. Is my push rod in the way? Ruh-roh. Let me see what I got going on. We might have to come back here real quick. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, my luck has officially ran out. Normally, the clearances that need to be ground out for these motors is usually for the connecting rod and the cam and crank, but my luck has officially run out. I'm going to try and light this up the best I can. Oh man, without it flaring back on you. But because, oh yeah, also, while we were on that short little break, I did set my my valve lash at 3 thousandths. But now that I got that all set up, because of the clearance on this, what is that, the exhaust side push rod, the keeper will not fit down in there. I don't know if you can see it, but because that push rod is so, I mean, it is so close, but it's not, I got enough gap, but it's not touching. So I'm going to have to go ahead and cut this down. What's nice about it is it does have these two ears that just sit on the pins for the rocker arms, which will stop it from moving side to side. So I am going to have to go ahead and cut these tabs off and narrow this out a little bit, just so it does fit in there. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll get back on this. Alright everybody, we are back, and as you can see, I did have to cut those little edges off there and narrow it out a little bit, but now that I got that all cut up, and we're going to go ahead and drop it right into place, and as you can see, it fits perfect now. Not going to rub nothing, and it's free. So the next thing we're going to do is add a little blue Loctite. If there's any left in here. There it goes. A little blue Loctite. And we're going to take it and just set our 8mm and give it one little ugga-dugga. There we go. Perfect. So now that I got that all done and the valves are in there, and that was set at top dead center before we even started, I'm going to go ahead and grab everything I need, and we're going to add the oil and roll this thing over and make sure that we ain't got no ticking noises. So let me grab the stuff for that, and we'll be right back. Got everything laid out. We are going to be using some Maxima 10W30 break-in oil, and I did already go ahead and measure it out to 14 ounces because that's what the spec book is calling for. But let's go ahead and fill this thing up, and then we are going to spin the motor over and make sure we ain't got no rickety ticks. So let's go ahead and start with that. Try not to spill this. Ooh, too fast. Alrighty. Go ahead and try and get as much out of that cup as I possibly can. Alright, there we go. Alright. Try not to make a mess. Let's go ahead and put this on the table. And we are going to go ahead and throw our cap back on. And let's move this up out the way. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment of truth. We are going to spin this bad boy over and make sure we ain't got no knocking or anything like that. So let's hit it. Alrighty, that sounds good to me. You are always going to have a little bit of valve tap because the rockers and all, and check our rockers. So now that we got that out the way, let me go ahead and clean this mess up, and we're going to get back to putting some parts on this thing. Next part up is the part that I am absolutely the most excited about, and we are going to open this up together. This is from Mr. Valve Cover and Foster's Customs. So I'm so excited to open this one myself. So, all right, wrapped pretty good. Oh yeah, and they put some white foam in there. So, oh yeah. Oh man, I can already see it through here. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh man, that's pretty badass. So the next thing I am going to do is go ahead and put my, hold on, there we go. It did come with the screws and the cover. So let me go ahead and tap my fittings in there, and we'll install this. Alright, I did go ahead and install my my vent fittings. So I did have to make sure that the angles for like the exhaust and stuff like that wouldn't be hitting, but let's go ahead and drop our valve cover gasket on there. Now that we got that, we're going to go ahead and put that screw on there, put that screw on there, and go ahead and tighten this bad boy up. So let me go ahead and fast forward through screwing these in, and we'll be right back. Oh man, that is beautiful. Man, that couldn't have turned out any better. I am so happy with that. I'm definitely giving those guys a shout out. I'm going to put a link to their website in the description, because they were on point with their messaging and communication and shipping. So I definitely want to give a big shout out to the Fosters for making that bad boy. So the next thing I am going to do is go ahead and install my exhaust, but I got to grab my wrench for that. So let me grab that. I'm going to get the rest of the tools together so we can just go ahead and knock out everything all at once, and I don't have to keep, doing it, and I can just do it solid. So let me grab the stuff for that, and we'll throw that stuff on here and get this thing running. Alright everybody, just finished up Got all my vent tubes on there. Kind of looks like a jumbled mess a little bit, but it'll be in the frame of the bike, so you really won't see all that. But look at that pretty, I can't pull it. Ain't anchored down. Let me go around the other side real quick. And our badass clutch. And now that I got this thing all buttoned up, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to anchor it down to. Let's get this thing outside and get this thing running. All right, everybody, I'm just going to go ahead and light it off in here. I got too many people outside being nosy, but I did go ahead and set up our IV drip bottle. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and flick this off and roll some fuel up into the carburetor. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, now I got a little bit of fuel up in the carb. Let's go ahead and light this firecracker off and see what we got. Oh yeah. Oh man. Man, that sounds so mean. I can't believe this thing even sounds like that. I didn't think it was going to turn out that way. That is definitely sounded way better than I thought it was going to be. But the next thing we are going to have to do is get this frame built so I can get this thing up in there and drive this sucker, because this thing is going to be wicked. Definitely going to have some time on the frame because I got to figure out how I'm going to paint it. But definitely looking forward to that. So do me a favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe. And until next time, you guys stay safe, wear your helmets, and we're going to get right back into this as soon as I can.